we're going to look at the bones in the pelvic girdle and the lower limb. The pelvis and the bones of the pelvic girdle and the lower limb, as well as the pectoral girdle and the upper limb, that forms the appendicular skeleton. The pelvis is composed, or the pelvic girdle, of the hip bones or the coxal bones. They're also referred to as os coxae, and that's the pelvic girdle. And it articulates with the sacrum of the vertebral column, which is part of the axial skeleton. Now, the big blue bones that you see there, that's the coxal bones. And the coxal bone has three parts, because if you look at it from the side, you can see all of the parts right here. That's all the coxal bone. And then you can see in the back here, you can see how it articulates with the sacrum. And of course, the coccyx is attached to the sacrum here. The coxal bone is three fused bones: the ilium, the ischium, and the pubis. And those all fuse in an area that's called the acetabulum, and that forms a socket for the head of the femur to articulate or make the hip joint. And the two parts of it, the ilium and the pubis, that helps to make this big opening called the obturator foramen in each of the coxal bones, and that's where nerves and blood vessels travel down the legs. And you can see this is the obturator foramen right here. But here you have in the pink, you have the ilium. That's where you're going to put your hands, and that's what articulates right here with the sacrum, and that's where you put your hands when you put your hands on the hips. In the front of the coxal bone, you've got the pubis right here, and then here's this one, and they meet with this little disc of fibrocartilage right here that forms the pubic symphysis or the symphysis pubis. And then back behind, forming the back of the vertebral or of the coxal bone, you've got the ischium. And the ischium is actually what supports your weight when you're sitting. That's what is on you when somebody sits in your lap and you say your tailbone is killing me. Actually, your tailbone is up here, so it's not causing a problem. It's the two ischiums of your coxal bone that are causing the problem and causing the pain. You can see the difference in a male and a female pelvis here. The female pelvis is over on this side. You see how much broader the opening is and how it's not very deep. Guess why, girls? So this happens at puberty, and this is so that we can deliver babies. Whereas the male over here, you see how much tighter his is. The opening is smaller, and he has a more defined pubic arch right here. It's a lot sharper than ours, which is broader. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the lower limb. The leg, you've got the femoral, which is the thigh area where the femur is. That's the longest, strongest, largest bone in the body. It articulates at the distal end with the patella, which is your kneecap. The crural region, that's your lower leg, or your shin, as we call it sometimes. It's made up of the tibia, which is medial, and it's the bigger bone that bears weight. And then on the lateral side, you've got the fibula, which is just there for muscle attachment. And they are connected together by an interosseous membrane like you saw between the radius and the ulna in the forearm. Tarsal area, This is where you have 7 tarsal bones that make your ankle. And then the pedal area, of course, is your foot with 5 metacarpals and 14 phalanges. So to look at this, you see here's your femur. Your femur, you see how the head of the femur is at an angle? That is so that we can walk on 2 legs. If an animal walks on 4 legs, it's not at an angle. And this neck region right here is where a lot of people, as they age, will experience a break. If they break, they say they break their hip, they usually break the top of the femur. And there's this knot right here called the greater trochanter, and the lesser trochanter is on the underside here. And that is what you feel when you feel the side of your leg to feel your hip area. I'm sorry, you're feeling right up in here to feel, and you feel that, and that's the greater trochanter. And then it extends all the way down to the knee, and it articulates with this patella that's there, or your kneecap. The tibia, as we said, it's the weight-bearing bone, so it's going to articulate with the femur, and it goes all the way to the ankle. The fibula is underneath the tibia, and it extends down, and it is only for muscle attachment. Here's your foot. You have your 7 tarsal bones here that make your ankle. The only movable one is here, and this is the talus, and that's where your lower leg articulates with your foot, and then the one behind it here that is going to go all the way up here, that is your heel bone called the calcaneus. Then you've got your 5 tarsal bones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, metatarsal. And then you've got your 2 phalanges in your big toe or your great toe, and 3 in all the rest of them, for a total of 14 phalanges. Now, to remember the bones in the arm and the leg, stop letting the people touch the cadaver's hand. This is your carpal bones in your wrist. Scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. It mentions the hand, so it's talking about the carpals, okay? The trapezium, the UM, is by the thumb that also has a UM in it. And carpal bones are in the wrist, and the arm is going to come first. If we're going from the head down, the arm is first, and C's come before T's. Tarsals are in the foot, where the toes are. The tibia and fibula, the tibia, TIB, thick inner bone. Fibula, LA on the end of it, is the lateral bone. Also, if you tell a fib, we often say it's a little lie. Well, fibula is the little bone. This college needs me in lab. Those are your tarsal bones. Talus, calcaneus, navicular, medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, lateral cuneiform, and cuboid. For your leg and your arm, the ulna, if you turn it on its side, you can make a U. Thumbs up, that's where you find the radius, and we use this as a gesture for radical. It's the same side as the thumb. Your radial pulse is where you check on the radius for your pulse. Patella is a plate-shaped bone. Navicular, think of the word navy, because it looks like a boat.